After a phenomenal first year from the multiple chapters of the Keystone Paranormal Society, our success was recognized, and we received a paranormal grant to go down to investigate Charleston, South Carolina, a historic city with hundreds of years of activity that could lead to paranormal events happening all across the city. Michael Romano traveled down to Charleston for a multi-day investigation to use state-of-the-art tactics to see if we could find true evidence of the paranormal and bring it to the scientific world. For once and all, to find out, are ghosts real? After flying down and arriving in the lovely city of Charleston, we made our way to where we'd be staying for the trip, the Meeting Street Inn, a historic building based on traditional South Carolina architecture. And we'd go down to Market Street, where vendors have been operating for hundreds of years, and it's the hub of the city. We'd go on to see many historic churches as well, as we began to become familiar with where we'd be investigating. Our first paranormal event was that of a ghost tour of all of Charleston with the Bulldog Walking Tour Company, which we'd highly recommend. The stories they told covered the entire city and many notable spots, and we'd hoped to come here to investigate, but many are private residences or being worked on currently. Nevertheless, we got to learn a lot about the city's history and some of the ghost facts that many people do not know, or maybe they don't want the public to know. One of the ghost stories that we learned on the walking tour was that of a successful Charleston businessman who hung himself in this building on the 3rd floor, and it's said if you look up at the right time, you can still see him hanging. We then made our way over to the old Exchange building in Charleston, one of the most notable buildings in the city. It once housed revolutionary prisoners, and we were about to go down into the dungeon. This dungeon hosted many notable names from both the Civil War and the Revolutionary War. This building used to sit right on the waterfront, but with expansion, it's now closer to the middle of the city. Although, when prisoners were down here, they would feel the tide wash up and come up to their bodies as the water slowly rose in this very dungeon. It's amazing to see that it still exists today, and you could see the very original floor from it. It's no wonder why this place is considered haunted. All the trauma, all the prisoners that could still be down there to this very day. The most common reports from this dungeon under the old Exchange building was that of shadow figures watching them from the dark corners. The tour guide from Bulldog Tours also told us that sometimes when they're locking up for the end of the night, they hear screams, but they know that no one is down there. While we took a scenic walk down the row of palmetto trees right on the coast, we found out some fun facts, like how that dungeon was used in the filming of Season 4 of Outer Banks on Netflix. And we also passed the aesthetic pineapple fountain of Charleston that thousands come to see each year. We then made our way over to the circular church, which you saw earlier, and we were going to get exclusive access into the cemetery at night. Charleston is known as the Holy City due to the numerous churches there and the steeples that are the highest points in the entire city. We made our way over to the circular church and the cemetery within it, where thousands were buried from the Spanish flu epidemic and many other outbreaks that killed. As we heard eerie tales from the tour guide, and the moonlight was the only thing illuminating the graveyard, we learned of many popular phrases that originated at this site, including "saved by the bell." In a time before health science was as developed as it is now, People thought that those that were in comas were dead. But some awakened, and they would tie bells to them while they were buried, so if they awoke while they were in the ground, the bell would ring, hence Saved by the Bell. The next day we started with Charleston's Hidden Alley walking tour, which was very informative, and we got to learn more about the architecture and lifestyles of native Charlestonians from hundreds of years of history. Through these walking tours, we learned that the city prohibits any architecture different than the historical ones, and many of the houses exist from the early 1800s and some earlier. Could this be why the city is so reportedly haunted? Are the buildings that are left unchanged, allowing the spirits to be familiar with it and keeping their presence there for all to find out? Next, we were headed over on a boat to Fort Sumter, the place where the Civil War began, the bloodiest war in American history, brother against brother. KPS was honored that we were asked to hoist the flag with the local National Park Rangers. It was a great experience and an honor for sure. This very spot could be supercharged for paranormal activity. While it was amazing to see Fort Sumter during the daylight, we'd love to return at night and do an official investigation. Could there still be a Confederate soldier standing guard, watching out for Union troops for a potential ambush? Could there be other residual hauntings just like this, waiting to be discovered? Do they need to be relieved of duty? After going on a Charleston Carriage Company tour during the day, we were invited back to go on a night tour. We experienced all the haunted happenings that the carriage company may have known. Different stories for sure, and it was definitely worth it to go on both. We learned so much, especially about this hotel that is said to be haunted, and there's rooms that they won't even book out because so many people have been frightened by the spirits within. We saw more about the circular church, and we continued on through the rain and the mist. It was certainly a spooky night. Would the man in the hat that you saw on the wall before appear to us and give us an ominous sign that something could be with us? For our final day in Charleston, South Carolina, we made our way over first to Boone Hall Plantation, one of the many famous plantations in the Charleston area. With lots to do and a tour of the house to be seen, we learned of the history of the industries that the family was involved in. There's something to be said about the amazing architecture and design of the Charleston way and the Southern hospitality that they offered. It was finally time to investigate Charleston with high-tech equipment, partnering with Stories in the Cemetery with lead investigator Nick, who is putting together a paranormal almanac so you know just how well your investigations go. It's really record-breaking in this industry, and we were so pleased to be working with him. He had some of the best high-tech equipment around for ghost hunting, all state-of-the-art, and each investigator of that night, 8 in total, was paired with something. It was 81 degrees that night, partly cloudy and a bit of drizzles. The moon was a waning gibbous. Our K index was a 2.7, and our investigation score assigned by Nick was a 26, below average activity, which I could concur with, but still, we were on the edge of our seats in each investigation location that we went to. We didn't know what we could find, and with this high-tech equipment on the field, live, we wouldn't know if anything would come to us. We were ready to communicate with anything that might be interested in sharing its paranormal story. Would we connect with the supernatural world? The extensive knowledge that Nick knew about the city of Charleston helped us get closer to finding out if there really was spirits from the many activities that happened in this city. In addition to the thermal imager, we had a Mel meter, 2 spirit boxes, an SLS camera, a Phasm cam with 54 IR LED lights, and 2 voice recorders as well. What you're about to see is live footage of the thermal camera from the shooter's alley. Pay attention and see if you could see anything.
That we're going are nearby places of raised emotion for him. So it's very interesting indeed, as you're going to see this guy. And again, this guy's story's been told for like the past 40 to 50 years. I'm the only one that ever communicates back. So you guys get the point.
Disagreements led to duels in Shooter's Alley, where many died over petty differences that could have often been handled elsewhere, more passively. Could this leave a dark stain on this very alley and make spirits more inclined to visit the human realm here? We spent a lot of time here using our equipment and seeing if anything would come to us. Then we headed over to St. Philip's Church, one of the grandest Anglican churches in all of Charleston. It was amazing to see this very cemetery, which captured a photo of an apparition that is said to be some of the best ghost evidence ever captured on camera. It was taken in the 1980s by a film camera, and even Kodak, the company that makes the film, could not debunk this picture. It's coming up shortly.
So that's a very sad story, and yes, I'm telling you about another dead baby. There's going to be one more tonight, I'm sorry. However, 1987, 99 years later, on the exact day of her death, June 16th, we have a local photographer taking pictures of all of our beautiful cemeteries, and he captures a full apparition in one of his pictures. What's 1987? He doesn't have the technology that we have now. So he sends
Wow, did you see that? Now here's some footage from the IR camera in that same spot.
Let's put you on mute for just a few minutes while I explain what this history is. Here on the gate, and get it so that way we can get some filming. Just try to keep your cameras as steady as possible. And I'm going to go through this story of what's actually going on here. So I'm going to get out of the way for Mike. You can jump in there. So for the rest of you, this location, I don't know, right in front of John. If you want to lower your camera, just like point it at the ground, there's a sign right in front of you. That sign reads, "There's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost." The reason why is they don't want you. Yeah, you can hear you hear all them cars going by though, right? Yeah. So after I kind of go through the story here, if anybody else wants to try that thing, you're welcome to. A lot of benefits here. I always like to try to keep the more interested folks.
We made our way over to one of the many parks in Charleston, and we sat there for our final spot of the investigation that night. We were about to use VR technology with the Seer app to see if a ghost would generate an AI image in my very VR headset. Here's what we found.
No, he didn't. He failed. I said they would not go all the way around your head. It's okay. If you're comfortable wearing it like that, I can fix it. When was it hard to breathe?
Go, go, go.
We're not leaving yet, Henry. We got time. We've only been here for probably 5 or 6 minutes. Henry, we're not leaving. You know that's not your code word for us to end this session anyway.
More humming. Waiting to survive.
You might be getting like disembodied voices.
The word survive.
Although we only had one picture generated on the Seer app, it was a profound experience, and KPS loved the technology. Thanks to Nick from Stories in the Cemetery for showing us all your expertise. Overall, we know Charleston is haunted due to its immense history, but we want to go back for more.